Welcome to Panther Parade, the podcast where we're supposed to talk Panthers hockey, but sometimes we don't. Here are your hosts, Alex Lopez, Jake Langsam, and TJ Peterson.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Panther Parade. I'm your host, Jacob Langsam. Here with me, as always, are my co-hosts, Alex Lopez and TJ Peterson. Joining us today, a very, very special guest here to give us an alternate take on the primary topic that we've been discussing over the last 3 days or so. Auddie James, the co-host of Game Over Calgary on Steve Dangle Podcast Network, the play-by-play announcer for the Drumheller Dragons, and a contributor to Locked On Flames. Auddie, thank you so much for joining us tonight. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Hey, what do you mean? You guys have been talking about something that happened between Calgary and Florida?
Yeah,
is it a connection between Sam Bennett or oh God, who's that other? Who the hell? What's it? Why am I blanking? What's his name? The other former Flame,
Eric
Jay Bouwmeester?
No, God damn, he's on the team right now. Oh, I'm the worst. Ryan Lomberg.
Ryan
Lomberg.
I was like,
overtime playoff hero, Ryan Lomberg.
So I'm like preparing for this. I'm like, man, I'm gonna have the best one-liner here talking about, what's the biggest news? Is it Sam Bennett and Ryan Lomberg when it has to do with the Flames and Panthers? But I butchered it. Anyways, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. It's great to be able to talk to you again. It's been so damn long.
I think you and I were on a different show together recently. I think a year or so ago.
We did something for my YouTube channel. Do you remember that?
Yes.
We did the preview for
right. No, you had Kim and me on.
I had you and Kim
to do a preview of the Isles Panthers series.
Right, that's what it was.
Yeah, that did not go well for us.
No, the series did. The episode was a ton of fun.
It was great. Yeah, but aside, that was about the only high point of that series.
I predicted a Panther sweep, if I'm not mistaken. I was
very
not correct.
You went all in. I loved it, but you got to have those risky takes every now and then. It was good. Yeah, that was way too long ago. So it's nice to be able to reconnect.
It's great to have you back on. I know the last time we were talking about hey, we should get you on was when the Panthers and Flames play each other in the 2022 Stanley Cup Final. That'll be a really fun episode. But no, we're here to discuss former Panther and Flame Erica Branson signing with the Columbus Blue Jackets, of course. No, just kidding. Obviously, Jonathan Huberdeau and Mackenzie Weegar are now members of the Calgary Flames, and Matthew Tkachuk is a member of the Florida Panthers. And Auddie, you and I were obviously joking about hey, Tkachuk's going to be a Panther. What I did not realize was that Huberdeau and Weegar were both going to go the other way. So we just wanted to get get the Calgary take on this blockbuster trade of the summer.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, one of the biggest trades in recent memory for Calgary, at least. But yeah, it was crazy, man. I remember the night it happened. My phone was dead, plugged it in. We had some buddies over at the house and we were playing a card game or something. And my phone, my girlfriend was like, I think someone's trying to call you, because my phone was, away from me and it was buzzing. I looked down, I'm like, holy smokes. Text message after text message, Tkachuk's gone. He's going to Florida. I was like, what the hell? So I open up Twitter, go to Friedman. No return yet. No return. I'm like, oh God, just, you guys know how it is. The constant refresh of Elliot Friedman or Sarah Valley.
It's tweet notification season, Auddie.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Right. So you're waiting to see this return. I'm like, okay, we know he's going to Florida. Obviously I'm not super well versed with the prospect pool or, I know you guys. Well, that's kind of what I came to realize. And I'm like, okay, well, this doesn't really make too much sense. We all thought, okay, so let me preface with all of us in Calgary thought that the Matthew Tkachuk return was going to pretty much start a rebuild or put this team into a bit of a retool or a rebuild, if you will, because, he would yield a haul of what we thought would be young A-level prospects, some higher draft picks, that's kind of the return that everybody was expecting. So as I'm refreshing, I get a text from my brother who must have seen the notification first. And all it said, it pops down on my iPhone, was Huberdeau in all caps. I was like, there's no way this guy's screwing with me. Until Friedman says it, it's not true, right? Another thing we all know. But yeah, and I'm like, Huberdeau, that's amazing. If it 1-for-1, for Huberdeau, that's pretty crazy. There's probably a pick in there. I'm like, this is good. This guy was like 115 points last year, second in the league. This is great. And then I'm like, oh my God, here's the full trade. Mackenzie Weegar, Cole Schwint, who I had to message you and say, tell me about Cole Schwint.
You had to message me and basically say, who the fuck is Cole Schwint?
Pretty much. Yeah, that's exactly. Well, the funny thing is the only reason I really know him is because I've seen you tweet about him, but I didn't really know anything about the player. So then I see it's a 2025 first round pick as well. So I'm like, wait a second, there's a first involved here. Florida doesn't have their first in 2023. I'm pretty sure they don't have it in 2024. So you're not picking for the first round for a long time. Hope that's okay. But yeah, I mean, to make a fucking long story short, I was pretty happy. Definitely not the way I thought the trade was going to go when we all knew that Matthew Tkachuk was going to go. But definitely not disappointed at all with the return in Jonathan Huberdeau and Mackenzie Weegar, who, like, you ask any Flames fan, just like smiling ear to ear seeing this return. We're pretty pumped to have these boys rocking the Flaming Sea here.
Real quick, just because I know we're not going to spend too much time on Cole Schwint, I'm going to make the formal request on behalf of the entire podcast. We're going to put it on you, Auddie, to keep the who the fuck is Cole Schwint meme going. If you don't know that story,
I saw the tweet.
I did. I sent you the tweet on Friday night. Yeah.
So there's a funny story about that too, because like I literally was like, who the fuck is Cole Schwint? And then I remembered your tweet and I'm like, that's exactly how I remember it. Like, that's why I was like, who the fuck is Cole Schwint? And because I remember, I think did he like the tweet or he replied to it?
Yes,
or something?
he liked
it.
And so that's kind of like, I literally was like, who the fuck is Cole? And I'm like, oh, who the fuck is Cole Schwint? Like, this all makes sense. Like, this is exactly how I know who Cole Schwint is, or of the player at least. But I will keep that alive. I'll make sure that that Flames Twitter and Flames fans know who the fuck is Cole Schwint. And I'm sure, well, he knows the story. He knows the story anyways. Hey, like,
yeah, he knows. Like, we had him on the podcast. We had a laugh about it. Like, it was nothing but like good fun about it. Like, he was just like, oh yeah, these guys had no idea who I was, and I laughed about it, and he gave us some shit about it. And the funny thing is I think he's actually a really solid pickup for you guys. Now, obviously, he's not going to have the impact of Weegar or Huberdeau, but like, this is a guy who has a bottom six, like, stalwart future with, in the NHL. Like, he's going to do all the little things right, and he's going to be a player fans really like, and he's never going to cost a lot of money. That's at least my projection for him.
The only reason I'm going to dispute what you just said about the value that he'll bring relative to Huberdeau and Weegar is that you've got a possibility for Cole Schwint to be in Calgary for a long time.
I was going to say much longer than the idea of.
I would be shocked if Jonathan Huberdeau stayed in Calgary beyond this year. Weegar, I think, is more palatable, but also not, like, I'd still bet the field over Weegar staying in Calgary. Huberdeau, I would, no way. There's just no way.
Yeah. What's the mentality on that, Auddie? Because that was one of the things I wanted to talk to you about. And since we're already there, I figured we might as well ask you, like, is Calgary hopeful? I know Huberdeau and Weegar both said they were open to it, but that's kind of the thing you have to say. And I'm not trying to dunk on you or anything, because, like,
no, you can dunk on us as much as you want. The offseason we've had up to this point. Look, Matthew Tkachuk and Johnny Gaudreau both said the exact same thing, that they were open to staying in Calgary. Right. So Flames fans, fool us once, shame on us, or shame on you. Fool us twice, shame on me. We've seen this before. We've seen this movie. We've heard this tune. We know exactly what to expect. So I would say expectations versus reality. I think the expectations are high. Obviously, people want these guys to stay, given the fact that we just basically lost two superstars because they, nobody wants to stay in Calgary. Nobody likes Calgary. Nobody likes his market, whatever you want to put it, attribute it to. But at the same time, people understand, like, okay, well, we just lost Johnny Gaudreau for nothing. Matthew Tkachuk didn't want to stay here long term. So I don't know. I think that the temperature for Flames fans right now is cautious optimism, kind of how it's always been with the whole Gaudreau thing, and with the most recently with Matthew Tkachuk as well. But yeah, I don't know. I don't want to hold my breath. The possibilities just run through my head nonstop about whether if they do want to stay or if they, don't want to, and what do you do with them? Like it's going to be interesting. We'll just say that it's going to be interesting to follow along and see. We know Alan Walsh posted and tweeted, my coworker at SDPN posted and tweeted about, the quote that Huberdeau said about being open to the idea. I tweeted about it and I got raked over the coals by Flames Twitter for trying to fall for it again. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see because, you guys don't seem so keen on the Huberdeau thing, whereas there's a lot of people in Calgary who think, well, why wouldn't he want to cash in, blah, blah, blah. So we'll see. I don't want to speculate too much because it's just going to lead to A, heartbreak, and B, making a fool of myself for being wrong. So we'll wait and see, but we're all very hopeful.
Let me breach a couple of things on the subject. First of which
TJ.
being, hey, how's it going, guys? I didn't just get here. I've totally been here the whole time.
And our esteemed guest host, TJ Peterson, tonight.
From Zaxby's in Orlando.
That's actually exactly correct, even though it sounds like
Zaxby correct.
Zaxby's
And that's the kind of content now.
All right, before my ADHD takes me off track of what I was going to ask, the first question I was going to ask is, because we've had a little bit of hesitation in terms of what a Huberdeau extension would look like and how good of an idea it would be, are you like totally gung-ho on the idea of we got to lock this guy up? And then second question, which is kind of unrelated, sorry, but I do want to hear your opinion on both of these things. Do you wish that it was just like Anton Lundell or Spencer Knight and some other good prospects? Do you wish that this was like an equivalent value futures package, or are you glad that it ended up being what it ended up being?
First of all, holy shit, way to come in here and just drop a couple of bombs of questions here. Sorry. So the first part of that was because I was so enamored by the second part. I'm going to answer the second part first.
Go for it.
So yeah, to answer your point, and we kind of talked about it a little bit before, that was the expectation up until, we found out what the return was going to be. And everybody was kind of okay with that for the most part, maybe retool a little bit, restructure, go out and make a couple free agent signings if you can. Well, you got all this money now, so you probably can see if anybody wants to come here. I know that's the thing that everybody seems to think nobody wants to come to Calgary. So we were okay. Like as fans, I think for the most part, we were okay with that. So I don't think it would have been, nobody would have really thought anything of it if it was, something like that package that you just mentioned, TJ. But I don't think, like, looking at it now, I think I'm happier with, even though they're only locked in for sure for 1 year. I think I'm happier with Huberdeau and Uyghur. Sorry, I always just overpronounce the AR.
It's very tempting. I get it.
It's gonna take a while.
You wouldn't be the first person to pronounce it like that.
It's gonna take me a while to get used to just Uyghur. I've always called them. It's anyway. Yes, I'm happier that the window of competition or competitiveness or whatever you want to call it, I think is open more so with these two guys in the lineup and these two guys being a part of this trade, even if it's only for 1 year and they pull a Kawhi Leonard and they go wherever the hell they want after. Not to say I think the Flames are going to win a Stanley Cup.
I was going to say bold comparison because
okay.
Kawhi won a championship.
That's what I'm saying.
With
Okay,
Toronto and then bailed.
Right, but what I'm saying is if they do win a cup this year, I could give a rat's ass about where they go after this season. That means the Flames have won a Stanley Cup and they can go where the hell they want, as far as I'm concerned. If not, and it's going to be interesting to see kind of what kind of happens this season with the direction the Flames go and kind of how they come out in their in the Pacific this year and what they look like. I wouldn't be surprised if the Flames are not what they're shaped out to be, or maybe they get to the deadline and they say, hey, maybe this isn't the year. There's a couple really good pieces right there that you could flip for even more assets. So the way I look at it, like, it's a win-win for me, I think, if it goes one of those two routes. Now, if they make the playoffs and then these guys both walk in the offseason, that's when it blows up in Calgary's face. And obviously you guys win the trade. yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I wouldn't be opposed to either of those. Like if they do end up going on a bit of a run, or if they're able to work out extensions, I'm happy with that. If the Flames aren't competitive and they're not, seemingly, like I said, at the deadline, and they're not where they want to be, there's a couple guys that, you could ship to a contender at 50% if you really wanted to, help this team out and maximize your profit or maximize your, your return. A couple guys that you could ship off elsewhere. So it depends on which way the Flames would like to go this year. And I'm not exactly sure what that's going to look like yet, but either way, I think I'm pretty content with the whole thing.
Now, unfortunately, I think the worst outcome for Flames fans is also the most likely one.
I don't want to hear it.
Just because, with the way that the Pacific is, just period.
Yeah.
For Brad Treliving to approach the deadline and decide, you know what, this isn't the year, Calgary would have to have had a disastrous season to be in that situation.
Oh, yes.
But I also don't think that they're nearly strong enough to come out of the West and really try for a cup. Maybe get into the playoffs, anything happens. And it's funny the way that you phrase, if they win a cup, then I don't care if they walk after this year. Panthers fans kind of feel the same way about losing Jonathan Huberdeau in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
If the Panthers win a cup with Matthew Tkachuk, who's Jonathan Huberdeau?
Right. I think that's
difference being that the Panthers have 7 years more to win with Tkachuk than you have with Huberdeau.
And that could be, it's the old cliche with any trade, right? Like that's pretty much, you could say that for any trade in this league for the most part. Any of the big blockbusters or bigger names that get moved. But yeah, all can be forgiven if they just, somehow go on a bit of a run here. He turns Elias Lindholm into a 50-goal scorer, and Uyghur wins a Norris. Uyghur wins a Norris.
Let me pose an alternate scenario. Let's say this goes pretty well, because when you say they make the playoffs, that doesn't include the wide variety of outcomes that can happen in the playoffs. Let's say they win at least 15 playoff games, or not 15. Sorry.
That's a pretty damn good run.
One win shy of the Stanley Cup.
Let's say they win at least 11, which means that either
wins the Conn Smythe.
Which means that either they got to Game 7 of the conference finals, or they made the Cup final and didn't come. Do you think that you would still be happy with the trade at that point?
So if they made it that far but didn't win a cup, yeah, I think there would be reason to be happy for it, because that's a lot further than both Johnny Gaudreau or Matthew Tkachuk were able to lead this team in a cup run or in the playoffs in general. I think that, maybe that might be enticing for them too, to maybe want to sign and maybe stick around too. So they could, I don't know. It's all what ifs, right? We don't really know what's going to happen beyond, this year and into the future with their contracts situations and whatnot. So I don't know. Maybe that's enough of an enticer to make them want to stick around. Look, Calgary's a beautiful city. I don't know if any of you have been. I've lived in a lot of places in Canada, and Calgary is by far, without a reason of doubt. I've lived in Toronto. I've lived in Ottawa. I've lived in various places. Calgary is by far the best place I've lived, and a lot of people have glowing reviews of this place. So that could be a good factor too. But if they do go on that run, then yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's an enticing piece for them to want to stick around. I would be happy because it's the furthest we've seen them in 40 years, something crazy like that, over 40 years. Or no, I guess 04
2004.
Yeah, 04. I mean,
by the way, it was in.
It was in. You guys would get. You guys.
The Lightning have 0 legitimate Stanley Cups.
No, they got
as
Mickey
everybody
Mouse,
knows.
Mickey Mouse Cups. That's it.
Mickey Mouse Cups.
That's it. And it was 100% in. Shout out Marty Jelena. But yeah,
former Panther Marty Jelena.
There's a bit of a connection here with these two teams, isn't there? There's a lot of parallels to draw here. But yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be fun to follow along, and as someone who covers this team and a fan of this team, it's fascinating. It's been a roller coaster. Hey, just this year this offseason, getting put out by your provincial rivals to have your two superstars leave and free agency and one request to trade. It's tough. It's tough. Am I singing to the choir here? Like it's
interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
losing to an in-state rival and then
Yeah,
seeing
it
two
sucks.
fan favorite players not on the team anymore. Yeah, no, we get it.
I mean, you
We're
realize
essentially
this,
kindred spirits here. Yeah.
yeah.
you
Did you
realize
see the quote
TJ.
Matthew Tkachuk said? I hate Edmonton, but I hate Tampa more.
He does hate, and the best part about that quote is he despises Edmonton. If there's one thing I've learned about his tenure as a Calgary Flame, he hates that city and he hates all those people who play there. It's the best. You guys are gonna love him for that reason too in the Battle of Florida. Oh, you're gonna love it.
I mean, we have two wonderful new things in the division now. We have the Matthew Tkachuk, Brady Tkachuk rivalry, and the one no one's talking. I mean, yeah, we have also, I guess, Matthew Tkachuk versus
We are
Tampa.
talking about it.
And then the one I feel like only we're the ones who realize this now, but Brad Marchand and Matthew Tkachuk are now in the same division. Like,
It's crazy.
That's gonna be fun.
that's going
It's
to
gonna
be
be
like,
Bloodbath.
to me, Matthew Tkachuk is like Brad Marchand Jr. They're the same kind of player. Same annoying pest, takes dirty shots, never gets called for it. Like the Panthers finally have one of those, and they're now in the same division, going to play each other 4 times a year. Like this is going to be outstanding.
Yeah, the guy you hate to play against but love to have on your team. It's we've experienced it for however many years with Matthew for here in Calgary, 6 or 7 years. So I'm glad you guys are going to get to experience it, and I hope the fans get around him as much as Flames fans did here.
It won't
makes
take
me
long.
feel very old that Matthew Tkachuk has been in the league for 6 years.
Yeah, he was 2000. Am I making that up at 2016?
No, because he's
Does that sound
24
right?
and he's
Drafted at
24.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 2016. And thank you to, I believe it was the Canucks who went and picked Auddie Levy. I think it was the pick before Calgary
Panther
took
legend.
Chuck.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Another
forever
former
a Panther.
Panther.
Holy shit! I forgot about that too.
So many Panthers.
I also
So did
forgot
I.
about that.
No, not really, because I brought it up. But I mean, was he even really here?
I think he
6th
played
round
like
pick
one
in
game.
2016. Yeah.
Well, he was, and he was the pick before Tkachuk, I believe. If you've got it there.
Yeah,
I
he went
believe
number 5
Levy
overall.
was 5th. Yeah, that was Matthews, Line, Dubois, Puljujarvi, Levy, Tkachuk.
Yeah.
Then Clayton Keller.
Yeah. That's a tough look there, Canucks fans. Holy, heesh. Even I
Charlie
guess.
McAvoy
Say,
went 14th that year. Yikes.
You would say the Oilers.
Yeah, I was gonna say even Edmonton. Yes, he hasn't quite taken that step. But
I hope he gets traded this offseason with his new contract.
well, everybody thinks so. Everybody's like,
They don't.
I
Want
don't
him.
think he will. I just want him to.
They don't want him.
well,
Yeah, they want him
the
out of there.
the media at least doesn't want him. They do a good job of beating the drum of how much better the Oilers are when Jesse Puljujarvi isn't on the ice. So that's just Edmonton media for you.
Yeah, enjoy Darnell Nurse, one of the worst contracts in the NHL for the next 8 years.
Oh, you know what? I got to come on the show more often. Shit talking the Oilers,
Oh, hell
Flames and
yeah.
Panthers parallels. God,
And
place
just
to be.
Auddie, just you wait for the Carter Verhaeghe is better than Connor McDavid content.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I mean, we can
Verhaeghe.
shit talk Vancouver too, because like that's a fan base and an organization I love to dunk on. Just they're so delusional.
And now they employ Dale Talon.
and now they employ
Oh
Dale Talon.
God, yeah,
True.
that's Jesus.
So we're gonna have a lot of fun with that one this season.
As you
Calgary
should.
is still the best of the 3.
Oh, that makes me happy to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to think so too.
I mean, one thing you mentioned earlier is you hope Jonathan Huberdeau can turn Elias Lindholm into a 50 goal scorer. You got to remember for the few Calgary fans who listen to this because you joined us today, this is the guy who fixed Sam Bennett. He turned Sam Bennett into a legit top 6 NHLer because he is that good with the puck on his stick. Elias Lindholm was a lot better than Sam Bennett.
Oh yeah.
Like that's going to be 50 goals.
Well, and that's the thing I wanted to kind of preface with too was like I don't think that this is by no means me thinking that Elias Lindholm needs the help. Like he was a 40 goal scorer last year and had some Selke recognition, but yeah, it's going to be and you know it was kind of encouraging to hear in Huberdeau's press conference with when he first met Calgary media. I can't remember which reporter asked him about possibly playing with Elias Lindholm. It might have been Haley Salvian, but either way, basically she prefaced by saying, "Oh, he scored 40. Are you excited to play with him?" And he said, "Yeah, hopefully when he's finished with me, he'll score 50." It's like, man, that's exactly what we wanted to hear. You're just feeding into it, pumping our tires up.
The problem is I don't think he's better than Johnny Gaudreau.
Yeah, I don't know. With
as
the
a
puck,
pass,
like as a playmaker, I think he's better than Johnny Gaudreau as a playmaker.
I think he is too. I think
I think
Johnny Gaudreau is a better overall player, but Huberdeau is absolutely
Okay. I guess that's.
I think
fair.
Gaudreau is I would 100% agree. I think Gaudreau is probably all around better. I don't know. He
Yeah.
definitely. But another thing too, you got to realize Johnny Gaudreau last year, like a full year under Darryl Sutter in a completely different system, is unlike any Johnny Gaudreau we've ever seen.
That's
so
also true.
it's also the system that they're playing in, which I'm also super excited to see Jonathan Huberdeau and even Mackenzie Weegar come into as well.
No, I would say especially Weegar.
Yeah.
Sutter's not going to allow Weegar to make the mistakes that Burnett did.
Yeah, but I'm more saying like they were both already in a system that accentuated their offensive strengths. I don't think you're going to get more offensively.
We said that about Gaudreau. We said that about Gaudreau. We said that about Tkachuk. We said all that same thing. It was the same old song and dance here in Calgary.
You're not
It was the
getting
same
more
thing.
than 115 points out of Jonathan Huberdeau. I'm telling you.
That's fine. I don't need 150. I don't even.
Right.
Yeah, give me 100 points. I'm good with 100 points. Give me 90 points.
Oh, that's absolutely doable. I'm just saying, like, these guys were playing in a system that fit them extremely well, especially Mackenzie Weegar. Like, there really isn't another gear for them to get to, but what you're getting is still really fucking good. So it's not like, I'm not saying these guys are going to fall off. I'm just saying there's no higher gear. This is what you're getting.
See. Yeah.
You're getting really good players.
I get you. I still want to see what they look like in that system.
Oh,
Look,
Mackenzie Weegar is beautiful.
I believe it. What's that Disney?
Oh, you meant like in Darryl Sutter's system?
Oh, yeah.
Actual
Well, as a man, hell of a guy. But what does Disney do? I was reading somewhere that he does like a weather with Weegar or something like that.
Yeah, Weather with Weegsy. That was a
Weather with
very short-lived segment.
We're gonna have to talk to.
Yeah, that was a really fun one.
We can talk to Tori at the Flames social media admin there and see what she can do. But that would be fun to have, especially when it gets down to minus 40 Celsius.
Yeah, but he's an Ottawa kid, so it's not. I guess so.
I've lived there.
He knows what it's like.
It's goddamn cold there. It is goddamn cold in Ottawa. But yeah, it gets nasty cold here. Like Ottawa, the best way, and just for all the weather nuts out there, this will be a quick segment. Ottawa cold and Calgary cold is completely different because Ontario, it's like a wet stick to your ribs kind of cold. Whereas in Calgary, it's like a super dry, like you let your hands out and you got to apply like 6 pounds of lotion. Nosebleed kind of cold. So anyway, he's in for a treat.
Which
so
do you think is
the
worse?
cold version of Florida, and Calgary is the cold version of Arizona?
Yeah, pretty much.
But which cold is worse? Because I have an opinion on this, but I want to hear what you have to say.
Oh, the wet cold, Ontario cold.
Thank you.
Way worse. Just like humidity.
Thank you.
Just like in Calgary, there's no
prefer
humidity.
Wet heat to dry heat.
Really?
No.
Okay, I also have a very specific skin type, and I just don't do well in dry air in general.
Do not come to Calgary.
You're
going to hate it here. It is so dry. Right as I pump Calgary's tires, oh, dude, everybody loves it here. This was the best place.
Yeah,
I've
Calgary
ever lived in
rules.
Canada.
Jacob, don't you ever foot
come
in this
here.
fucking city.
Well, I mean, you keep talking about how Calgary is the best place you've ever lived. I have to point out something to you. You've never lived in the God blessed United States of America.
No, I haven't. And
all you are is a hat, Auddie.
I am just.
This is why Matthew Tkachuk left you.
Or hat.
Hat. He is Canada's. He is part of Canada, which is America's hat.
Oh, that's fair. I thought you were making a joke because Auddie is literally always wearing a hat.
I'm always wearing a hat for the most part.
You did post that one
thought
picture
that was your
today,
hair
yesterday with Toner.
Yeah,
Toner
with
your
Andrew.
actual
Hatter
hair
hair.
out with your co-host.
Yeah, with Andrew and Peter. Yeah, I was like humming and hawing before I left. I'm like, oh, I wear a hat every day at work. I wear a hat the minute I come home. I should at least this one time not wear a hat.
Look,
Like,
we all have our signatures.
Yeah, it's the backwards hat for me. It is what it
Mine
is.
is my sword.
I love your sword.
Mine
It's
is
a
that my
beautiful
son
sword.
shows up almost every podcast.
That's
Starts
true.
screaming.
Yours is Tommy.
Jake's sword is great because it always
is
gets
his
to the
dog
point.
that's named after me.
It's not named after you. I was going to say your sword is great because it gets to the point. And I'm going to get to the point now.
That
So,
was a good one.
because we're talking about coaches, I do
Mhm.
want to ask you, this was Daryl Sutter's first full season in Calgary. And it was noticeable because a lot of players had career years, and Matthew Tkachuk was no exception. What did Daryl Sutter do that unlocked Matthew Tkachuk? And can it be replicated?
That's a damn good question. And it starts with just how good of a coach I think Daryl Sutter is. Like, look, he coached Eric Goodbranson into what did he sign? A 3-year deal with
You know
Columbus?
what? Yeah.
4x4.
4x4.
Goodbranson actually had a decent season.
Like he is gotta like there's gotta be a Rolex, or I guess Daryl's a farmer. He's got to be buying him a tractor or something.
Auger.
An auger, a big tractor, or pay for his crop. I don't know what farmers do. I don't know what farmers do or use. Buy him a backhoe or a pig or something. I don't know. But yeah, he owes a lot of that to Daryl Sutter. And look, when Daryl came in, a lot of Flames fans we knew what Daryl Sutter's system and what his structure is like. He's been in Calgary before as both a coach and a GM. We saw how he did it in LA. They win those cups there. And we thought it was going to be boring hockey, super close, 2-1, 3-1. But I don't know what it was that he did to unlock Matthew Tkachuk. And I don't know if it was more so Sutter's system working or if it was maybe a change of voice in the room. I have my speculations, and I love Mark Giordano, and I'll always be thankful for what he did here in Calgary. But the season before last, we all know the infamous Jake Muzzin puck flip incident where it was the end of the game and Jake Muzzin and Matthew Tkachuk were going at each other all night. And after the buzzer, Jake Muzzin just kind of, as one does, chirpingly, it was harmless, flips the puck at Matthew Tkachuk, and he has a temper tantrum, right? Well, what we come to find out after is that there was a closed door meeting with the leadership group, and they basically read him the riot act to cut the shit out. Just stop being a pest, cut out the shit. And that was pretty well the demise of him that season. He didn't look the same. He had a bad year. All of a sudden, you remove that voice from the room, and Matthew Tkachuk is a completely different player. I think it was more so the leadership group and kind of the leash that they had him on than it was actually Daryl Sutter's system. I think Daryl Sutter's system played more of an impact on Johnny Gaudreau than anybody on this on the team last year. Not to say Matthew wasn't impacted. He definitely became a better 200-foot player and was definitely way more responsible in his own end. But they also weren't getting as many defensive zone starts and stuff like that too. So it was kind of hard to dictate and judge that. But yeah, I mean, I think it can be replicated. I just think that, Matthew Tkachuk's going to be a pest. He just doesn't, I just don't think he likes people trying to get in the way of that, and I don't see Sasha Barkov sitting him down in the corner and telling him to cut the crap the way that it seemingly was here in Calgary. So I think it can be replicated, and I'm for your guys' sake, I hope that it is replicated.
Yeah, Matthew Tkachuk seems like the kind of guy. It's like you got to let him do him, and then it's like, I mean, I think we can all agree that Muzzin puck flip incident, like he acted like a bit of a clown there. Like
he did for sure, without a reason of doubt.
Like when they cross that line, you kind of have to take him aside and be like, "Hey, that was a bit too much, but not the riot act." It's just like you got to rein him in when he goes too far, but the rest of the time it's just like, do you? As long as you're not the one that ends up in the box, or even if you do end up in the box some of the time, but it's not all the time, like, do you, Matthew? And hopefully that continues with the Panthers. I mean, in terms of leadership, Panthers fans know Barkov is not that kind. Like, he does not control the locker room with his voice. He controls it with, his actions. So, and that's honestly, I mean, I know it's not really something we can talk about with you, Auddie, because you don't know the Panthers locker room. But the Panthers just lost two of their biggest voices with Weegar and Huberdeau. And that's not something we've mentioned yet, is that the locker room now needs a new actual voice. Because
I mean, you've still got Ekblad and Hornquist. And my guess is they're going to wear the A's.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it is Matthew Tkachuk. He shows up and makes the locker room his. It's possible.
Sure.
He will.
But someone's going to need to take Hornquist's A after next season.
He will. I can promise you he will. He was poised to be the next captain in Calgary. Had he signed a long-term deal, I would imagine it would have come with him getting the C. So I would imagine that that's part of the game, part of his game, and part of the way he is. That'll go with him in Florida.
You know, speaking of Calgary and leadership, this is kind of jumping back to a conversation from many, many minutes ago. Obviously, like Huberdeau and Lindholm would look great together, but speaking of fixing Sam Bennett, maybe you also try to let Jonathan Huberdeau fix Sean Monahan. But that's
is he going to give up a hip? Is he going to give him a hip?
I don't know. He's a good guy. I don't know. Barkov, Jameson Olive once told us, I don't remember if he told me or he told us, but he once said to me, Sasha Barkov doesn't speak much, but when he does, it's either really important or really funny. So I don't see him being the kind of person who's going to pull Tkachuk aside and tell him to chill. He's more the kind of guy who's going to joke about him being annoying.
Oh, probably. And he will.
Like just a quick one-liner. And then just go back to tying his skates or whatever, it never happened.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
That's the kind of guy Barkov is.
Yeah, I could picture that too. He doesn't, I don't know, just from the outside looking in, like, doesn't strike me as the super, super vocal kind of captain. Shows it more than he says it kind of thing. Yeah. Is that kind of the vibe with him?
Yeah, he's also not the partier.
To the point where a lot of Panthers fans think that he shouldn't have the C because he's not loud enough. Which I think is bullshit. But
it's honestly, you don't really know this about our fan base, Auddie, but there's a lot of similarities with the Edmonton Oilers fan base in the sense of we like old hockey men and we like hitting and whatnot. It's just, it's not great. We have constant battles with this fan base over things that are important in hockey. And, you know, there's people who were just fine throwing Weegar into a potential trade, or even now that the trade happened, like, oh yeah, we don't need Weegar. He was awful in the playoffs. Get rid of that guy. And all we could do is just facepalm repeatedly and be like, no, yeah, you can't keep Weegar next year, but this is not a guy you throw away. He's a top pairing defenseman. He is a top 30 to 40 defenseman in the NHL. You don't throw him away. And there was way too many fans who were just really happy to do so.
That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, every fan base has that crowd. Calgary, we've seen it before too. But yeah, I don't know. Every fan base has it. It's not just the Panthers. You'll be happy to know. And the Oilers. As much as I like to rag on the Oilers, every fan base has the bad eggs. It's not all Oilers fans.
It's just 95% of them.
That's most of them. There's a couple good ones.
Well, Alex, I think the one mistake you might be making there is I think a large portion of that 95% is burner accounts set up by some combination of Daryl Katz and Kevin Lowe and
Dale Talon.
Yeah.
Well, he's not involved in the Oilers organization.
Yeah, I'm sure Ken Holland's definitely got a few.
And Ken Holland, yeah.
He definitely has a few. There's no doubt about that. Jeez. Kenny Holland's burner.
Can I bring up something tangentially Flames related?
Sure.
Did you see the video the Blue Jackets put out over the signing of Gaudreau?
I did, yeah. I watched it.
Am I the only one who saw that and it was just like, yeah, you guys look awful in this video. You look completely inept. One, it starts off with the assistant GM calling
Goodbranson or whatever.
Goodbranson. Wait, you can't say Goodbranson's name, but he's calling Goodbranson's agent, and he's like, "Yeah, we're not going to beat around the bush here. 4x4 for Goodbranson." and
you should consider beating around the bush.
Yeah.
You know how you know when your team made a bad deal? If your first offer makes the player's agent be like, deal,
done.
Okay, sure,
Yeah,
send it
it's
over.
like, sure, done. And I'm just like, and I'm like, you have to realize how stupid you are that your first offer, this guy said, not even like, hey, let me double check with my client, make sure he, this is what he wants to do. It was like, yes, signed, done. And then
I do have to consider, and I haven't seen the video. I saw like the first 30 seconds. But I do have to consider how much of that may have been staged after the actual negotiations took place.
It's possible.
Yeah.
It's possible. And these things do happen. Like every time we see that content, like that behind the scenes content, it's heavily edited unless you're the Bruins and just you want to show how happy you are.
The Tyler Seguin trade video with Peter Chiarelli, the greatest video ever from a front office.
But
it's iconic.
Yeah, but back to this one. But then it goes like 30 seconds ahead, and it's the assistant GM again playing coy, like, hey, we just got a call from Goodbranson's agent saying a former teammate of his wants to come play here.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just like, wait a minute. You had a buttload of cap space, and the first thing you did at 12:01 wasn't call Johnny Gaudreau. He needed to call you to tell you he was interested. Like, how bad of a GM are you?
Yeah, I don't know how much validity there is to that video.
Again,
every report that I've seen with John saying, talking about his decision was that it truly was like, Columbus came in and was like, okay, well, here's, it was like not a last minute deal, but they definitely weren't involved like from the start. I don't think they were like the 12:01, hey, sign on the dotted line. At least that's what Gaudreau
weren't that team.
Right, but why aren't you? Why aren't like every single, like even if you are Arizona, you owe it to your organization to make that phone call to Johnny Gaudreau's agent, even to Bill Zito. Like you call and say, hey, I know we're not, an obvious fit, but is this something you guys are interested in? And if you're Arizona and he says, yes, you back up the Brinks truck and overpay, but it jumpstarts your franchise. If you're Bill Zito and he says, yeah, I'm interested and I'm willing to take a discount, then you send
you trade Jonathan Huberdeau to
Calgary. You trade Jonathan Huberdeau for whatever you can get that's value, bring in Johnny Gaudreau, and you just made your team better. Like you owe it to your organization to always be calling about these top players. The fact that you didn't, like, it's just mind-boggling to me that this is like, hey, look at what a great job we did. We came in at the last minute and got lucky that Johnny Gaudreau had zero interest in playing for the New Jersey Devils, and Philly fucked up their
make an offer, allegedly.
Yeah, Philly didn't make an offer and didn't clear cap space. Like, you fell ass backwards.
The worst
Chuck Fletcher hockey, now. Baby. That's it.
Like, I can't believe that Chuck Fletcher has so enthusiastically grabbed that baton. I never thought he was a great GM, but like, man, he became the worst GM in the league real fast.
Yeah, it didn't take much. It's like that Drake meme, like the no and then the yes meme, like Johnny Gaudreau, like Drake's waving no, and it's like Tony D'Angelo. That's the answer. Tony D. Oh, geez, that's too funny.
Yeah, you had Johnny Gaudreau gift wrapped, and you did nothing to clear cap space for it. The market for James Van Riemsdyk must have been enormous. Like that kind of player, everyone wants that kind of player. It shouldn't have been hard for Chuck Fletcher to create space for Johnny Gaudreau.
Here's a thought though. Don't sign Tony D'Angelo if you think you could get Johnny Gaudreau, because he didn't sign with Calgary. He's from South Jersey. It must have been in some kind of whisper network that he kind of wanted to go home.
It wasn't even no way that everyone who pays attention knew that Johnny Gaudreau wanted to go to Philadelphia.
Yeah, my point is that the day of the draft where they traded for D'Angelo and gave him that contract, there's no way that Chuck Fletcher could have been like, well, we had no idea that he had interest in playing in Philadelphia.
Right.
You can make that Tony D'Angelo trade later. I guarantee you.
Yeah, and you could probably get a little less too. You could have got away with giving him a little less
and giving up fewer assets. That was
it too. It was just a bad.
Chuck Fletcher sucks.
Chuck Fletcher hockey. That's
Suck
it.
Fletcher. Nailed it.
He's
I'm
so
so good at this
suck
today. I'm
Fletcher.
really on my game.
I mean,
Jake
Rasmus
is a fucking
Ristolainen.
all-star. Yeah, we could have an whole episode about it, but I mean, I think that would
we should
kinda
get we
suck.
should get a Philly guest on to rag on Chuck Fletcher for an hour. So Auddie, I just want to ask one more quick thing, and that's
Sure.
What else about Matthew Tkachuk should Panthers fans be excited about? We all know the play, but what else should we be excited about?
Well, I don't know. I mean, aside from being a unicorn on the ice in terms of, what kind of player he is and what he can bring, he's just I don't know. Every run-in I've had with Matthew over the years during his tenure in Calgary have always been incredible. Like, just a super class act guy. Very, very kind, great to the fans, great to the media. I know that's important, kind of being in our positions now, right? With covering teams, you hope that players are kind to the media, and that's something that we've come to realize too, is just how genuine of a person he is. He puts the team on his back. He works for you. Good in the community. He did a lot of good things in Calgary. Yeah, I don't know. It's bittersweet because I'm super, like, I don't want people to listen to this hit and be like, oh, Auddie James is like pumped that Matthew Tkachuk is gone. Look at, like, he's just pumping the tires of the return. I would honestly much rather a world where we were able to try to keep Matthew Tkachuk. Just a great dude all around. I thought this guy loved it here. I thought he loved this team. After seeing Brady sign 7 years in Ottawa, or however long, did they get 8 or 7?
I think he got a full 8.
Maybe he got 8. So yeah, after seeing Brady sign 8 years in Ottawa, I was like, oh damn, maybe I had the.
Oh no, you're right. It's 7.
Okay, it was 7. So either way, like, that's still long term in Ottawa.
7 by 8.25.
I want to talk about not desirable markets. Look at Ottawa. But like, I don't know. I thought there was maybe a glimmer of hope that he would stay. I thought maybe losing Gaudreau would. There was a part of me that said, "Oh, Matthew Tkachuk's going to see that and he's going to be like, I got you," kind of thing. He didn't. It sucks, but I hope that for the best for him. There's no ill will from me. I know there's a lot of Flames fans that took it personally, especially with Gaudreau too. I just hope nothing for the best. I'm happy he's going to Florida. It's a team that I can get behind if the Flames aren't in. And I like the fans. I've every fan I've dealt with with the Panthers, and you guys have always been great. So I'm glad that he's going to a place that. I'm glad he's not going to the Leafs. Not that he was going to stay in Canada or Tampa or Vegas, or he's going somewhere good. So I just hope that you guys get to see that side of Matthew Tkachuk, and there should be no doubt in my mind why you wouldn't. He's just a great dude.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the good things when you see these kind of East-West trades, where Calgary is obviously a much larger fan base than the Panthers fan base, and when you're ranking the Canadian fan bases in terms of like presence on Twitter and whatnot, Calgary's not the one that everyone goes to. So it's like like you said, it's nothing but mostly positive reactions with Calgary fans. So when you see a blockbuster trade like this, and it's like, all right, now Hoobie Uyghur can go to Calgary. And I hope they do well there. I hope they have a good time there. I hope, hope we all see each other in the cup. I mean, it's unlikely, but I hope we all see each other in the Stanley Cup Finals and we can battle it out and shake hands at the end. And that's kind of the good thing about this trade, is that you're not hoping the other side fails because you don't like them.
No,
right.
Not at all. And damn well that I would never be like that. And Flames fans too. I mean, you guys, there's a lot of people who were upset when Bennett left, but jumped over to the Flames or the Florida side just to cheer for Sam and Ryan Lomberg too. And you got Matthew now. So it's a whole list of reasons why Flames fans could be happy for the success of the Florida Panthers. So
we're finally even for Jay Bouwmeester.
Yeah, sure. We'll go with that.
I mean, that was the first one of these trades where it was like guy wanted out and he got to pick his spot and he wanted to go to Calgary.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you.
We got anything left for Auddie? I know we went way over time here.
Hey, not a problem though. It didn't feel like it.
Yeah, I keep looking at the clock like, oh my god, it's already that time.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. Auddie, we definitely need to get you on again, just because this is a trade that is going to have lasting impact throughout the year. Like we're constantly going to be
for sure.
It's gonna be Huberdeau versus Tkachuk all season. Who's got more points? Who's more in line for an All-Star game, which is in South Florida this year. So the odds are it's going to be who we represent.
Both would be funny.
Yeah,
It would be.
Huby and Week are both making the All-Star game for the West would be outstanding. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us. And I'm just going to take over and land the plane. Wait, Auddie James, plug yourself. Where can everyone find you?
Find me on Twitter at Auddie James. That's pretty much my my home base in terms of social media. I am on Instagram as well, but I don't often use it. It's at Auddie James _ because there's some other Auddie James out there that I did not think that was going to be a problem when creating an Instagram account. But yeah, mostly on Twitter at Auddie James. You can find me there. Like you guys mentioned before, SDPN for Game Over Calgary, and every Wednesday on Locked On Flames.
Awesome. Yeah. That's it for another episode of Panther Prairie. This was awesome. Hey,
rate us 5 stars on surplus.calgary.ca.
Hey, thanks for having me though, boys. I never got the chance to thank you. This was good. So we'll definitely have to do it again.
Yeah, definitely.
Auddie, thank you so much for giving us your time tonight.
Of course, boys. Anytime.